folks, and welcome to this week's show. As you can see behind me there, this week's edition is on the top 10 songs of Dexys or Dexys Midnight Runners, depending on which way you want to look at it. And today we have a new guest. We've got Colin.
Hello, Sid. How are you?
I'm very good, mate. Good to see you. And so this is going to be interesting. I'm really looking forward to this. Dexys, one of my favourite ever bands, so I am really looking forward to this. Colin, how did you first sort of get into Dexys?
Well, I think I've worked out that I would have been about 11 when Gino was my first sort of introduction. I don't think it was their first single, but Gino was the first thing I noticed as an 11-year-old. And I thought, well, pop music doesn't sound like this. I mean, it was the era of two-tone and what have you, but Dexys was slightly different, and the horn sound was different, the vibe was different. I thought, well, this band are worth looking into because there's a little bit more to them. This is not what you get in the charts, and so that was it. And from that, I think I saved up for a copy that has long gone, been lost at a party somewhere in South London in the early 1980s, a copy of Searching for the Young Soul Rebels. So I've come the CD era, I replaced it with a CD copy. So from there, Searching for the Young Soul Rebels, I know you do the albums, in different shows and things, but this is one that you never grow tired of, never seems to age. And so that was it. So it excited me in the sort of early 1980s. And I'm continually surprised from that point. I've been surprised from that point forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same for me. Gino was obviously the song that sort of knew. I'd heard Dance Dance. I'm sure they did it on Top of the Pops or something like that. But Gino was the one that sort of really got me. And of course, it got to #1. It was a massive hit. I just loved it. Absolutely great song. So yeah, it was from that moment on I was hooked. Just became a huge fan of them from day one, and stayed with Dexys and Kevin Rowland during his solo period, and loved everything that they've released, basically, which I'll go into in much more depth when we do the album show. So we're going to pick the top 10 songs, and literally this could have been a different list every single day of the week. I mean, #1 wouldn't be, but everything else I could literally flip and change on a regular basis. So that's my point of view, and it was hard cutting down the songs. How about yourself?
I feel the same way. I have got, I think I got to a sort of core of 17, but then they're interchangeable. And like you, my #1 I wouldn't change.
Yeah.
I had a good look at that. I briefly passed it in front of the wife for sort of approval. Although, having said that, she wouldn't. Her opinion wouldn't sway me on what I put in the top 10 or the #1.
Yeah, excellent. Right, well, it'll be interesting. See what we have at the #1 spot. Right then. So, do you want to start off with your number 10? Then, what have you got at number 10?
Well, I had to put it in, but I think on another day it might not get there because it was my introduction to Dexys, because it was different, because it excited me. I've put Gino in. I think there are a few better songs that Dexys have done, actually, looking at it, which shows the sort of strength of the band, really. If I can legitimately have 9 better songs than Gino. But I've put in for sort of sentimental reasons, and because it was my introduction, and because it just has that really unusual sound for a pop record in the sort of early 1980s. And when you're a kid and you sort of root for records to get to #1, I remember rooting for Enduring the Blockheads to get to #1, and this is one that I rooted for and thought, I really wanted to be #1. It's a song that I'm sure the vast majority, if not every one of your viewers and listeners will know. But I've put Gino in at number 10.
Yeah, I've actually gone the same. Funnily enough, it's just a great song. I mean, I remember once asking for it at a party, at a New Year's party, and it cleared the dance floor. It was only about 10 years ago. I couldn't believe it. I was literally dancing on my own at Gino.
That's one of the reasons why I didn't put it higher. Is I think there are better songs to dance to.
Yeah. I mean, come
Um,
on, Eileen's the obvious. It's every played at every Christmas, every wedding, every party. It is a fantastic song. It doesn't make my list, funny enough, probably because it's been overplayed to death. But it is great song, and it's a great song to dance to. But Gino, honestly, it just cleared the dance floor. I couldn't believe it. I was absolutely gutted. Like you, it was my introduction. And I've got, yeah, Kevin Rowland says that the Guardian, the lyrics are true. He says, I saw Gino Washington 68. He says, I'm 15 years old. He said there's loads of mods going into skinheads, and he sort of wasn't that enamored by the gig, funnily enough. And so he's talking about it, and he recounts the whole feeling. And it's not really massively encouraging about Gino Washington when you look at the lyrics properly. And there's a little bit of bravado and arrogance in it when he says, "When I'm looking down at you" as well. So he's got all that. He's got his chairman of the board, sort of General Robinson sort of sort of thing within it as well, which is cool. I like that. But yeah, it's my number 10 just because I felt it had to be because it was my introduction and it is a great song. So same as you. What have you got in at number 9 then?
At number 9, I put in it's not the single, doesn't sit on an album, and it's unusual because it's a love song, and you don't get too many Dexys songs that are love songs, and because of you,
Good. I almost picked that. Yeah, great.
is what I've put in. I don't know whether it improves matters to be associated with the BBC sitcom
Yeah,
and what
brush
have you.
strokes.
But it's I think it's a lovely little love song. It's yeah, I think it's unusual in the sort of catalogue because usually when Kevin Rowland sings, he's sort of trying to detach himself from the opposite sex rather than actually sing positively. And so because of you, that's what I've put in at number 9. I think it's a lovely song, a lovely bit of violin goes with it,
Yeah.
and I think it had it not been associated with the sitcom, it might have been a couple of places higher.
Brushstrokes for those younger viewers, you'll have never heard of it. It was quite a nice sweet sitcom, actually. Funnily enough, I played a duo, and we do this song. Always goes down really, really well. Always goes down a storm. Obviously, the older people there knew it, so it just goes down well. So for my number 9, I've got "Show Me," which was also just a one-off single. I've just got a fast, powerful song with swagger. Matches the subject matter of bravado and reminiscing and looking back, where young people tell tall tales about things that they pretend that they've done, and they start to learn how to try and smoke and do things like that, and maybe drink. But want to be accepted and part of a gang. And then he got the line, "And now let me see what they're like." It's just a great song, really fast, really powerful. It's this song that's sort of between both albums, between "Searching for the Young Soul Rebels" and "To Rye." It's right in the middle, and it's really it's the tail end of the Young Soul Rebels feel before they go into the next sound, if you like, which was captured on "Let's Get This Straight," which is the next one. So it's a great song, really, really great song, really powerful. I just love it. It's really catchy, just really catchy. That's not more to say to it than that. So that's my number 9.
I
So
think you can get it on. I think these days, what with re-releases and what have you, they've sort of stuck it on 2 Rye 8.
it's on the new 2 Rye their remastered version, which is a much better version actually. They've just remixed it. It's brilliant, and it's on that. It's on the box set. It's fab. Just a great song. Yeah. So what have you got?
It is wonderful. It is wonderful, and it's well, without giving anything away, it will. It's either in my top 10 or in my honourable mentions.
Okay, right. Okay,
well.
so we'll hear it at some point. Excellent. So what have you got at number 8 then, Colin?
At number 8, well, something very new. This is from the new album, The Feminine Divine. It's "I'm Gonna Get Free." I think it's a joyous, optimistic song. It's more of a pure pop song than anything else I've got on my list. And I think it's arguably one of Kevin Rowland's best vocal performances.
Yeah.
As well. It's just a joyous piece of pop. "I'm Going to Get Free" is what it is, and that's my choice from the new album.
Excellent. Well, my choice for number 8 is also from the new album, and it's "My Submission." It's just a beautiful ballad. His voice is absolutely fantastic on it. and it's about submitting to love and women and what have you. But it's a fantastic song, good lyrics. His voice is amazing. I love the falsetto note that he hits in the middle of the song. It's amazing, sublime. Really great album, may I add as well. It's a really good album, an album of two halves, different feel, which we'll go into at some point when we do the albums. But I really like it. It's a really super song though. It's a long song as well, so it really it's got like a lot of breath on it in terms of space. It's just a fabulous song, a really beautiful ballad. And Dexys do ballads possibly better than anybody else. So my submission from the Feminine Divine is number 8, just a great song. So what have you got in at number 7?
Number 7, I've got 7 Days Too Long from
Yeah,
Searching for the Young Soul Rebels. It's a wondrous cover version, brilliant piece of Northern Soul. It's probably for my money, the most authentic Northern Soul sound that Dexys created, despite being a cover version and things. The only reason I don't place it higher up in I think it's one of my most played Dexys songs,
yeah,
7 Days Too Long. It always makes you feel better. It's like the best Northern Soul will always pick you up. It's what Northern Soul says on the tin, basically. And the only reason it's not higher up is it's actually very true to the original. I don't think it adds too much more to the original recording. Otherwise, it would be further up the charts. But I play it whenever I sort of feel slightly miserable. Then 7 Days Too Long gets sort of slapped on every
yeah.
time.
I would have put like Breaking Down the Walls of Heartache on, but I didn't just because of the cover factor with it being a cover. But it's again another great sort of Northern Soul song, and the groove's fantastic, But I didn't I tried to not put any covers on, which is a bit harsh, but that's what I've done. So my number 7 is I Love You from Don't Stand Me Down. I just love it. It's a great song. It's really short. Again, it's just a simple love song to Helen O'Hara, uh, which a number of his songs are. I didn't even know until recently that they were actually living together for a while, and she was his partner. Which there you go, shows you what I know. It's fabulous. Really great drive and rhythm. Simple lyrics, but sometimes the simple lyrics are the best, and it's really up tempo. It's a fabulous song. Should have been a big hit, but sadly wasn't. So what have you got at number? Sorry.
Well, nothing from that album was a big hit, was it?
No, nah. Should have been a monster album as well, but that's for another day.
One of these lost albums, like Village Green Preservation Society.
Yeah, very much like that.
Produced no hits, but when you look into it, it's a wonderful.
Yeah, years later, and it's hailed as a classic. Absolutely. So, what have you got on at number 6 then, Colin?
Well, I've got There, My Dear.
Yeah.
The reason I've put that one in there is I think it has the same sort of vibe and feel as a song like Gino, but it's slightly more up tempo. And I didn't know you were going to sort of mention dancing and what have you. But I think it's like a Gino that you can dance to. That's why it's higher up the charts. It's got again, like every track from that album, has a sort of Northern Soul feel and vibe to it. But it's danceable too. I think the tune is slightly better than Gino, so it's a sort of improved version of that song.
Excellent. No, it's hard to argue. It's hard to argue otherwise, to be honest. My number 6 is It's Okay, John Joe, from the which album was One Day I'm Gonna Soar. Yeah, that's it. One Day I'm Gonna Soar, isn't it? Just also a great album. I mean, Kevin Rowland, I've got written here from The Guardian, actually, where he says, I met this girl called Joanna in Sweden. She emailed me, do you believe in love? I replied, I do believe in love. I don't know anything about it, which is a bit weird. He said, I like that idea. I'm going to put it down to music. And then he changed it from John Joe when he's working with Big Jimmy from Joanna to John Joe, which works great. It's just got a slightly different theme, but works. And again, it's another ballad. There's quite a few ballads on my list actually when I'm looking at it here. It's beautiful. It just works perfectly. I love the sort of, again, very similar to the other one with the piano feel and the space and the groove and the beautiful singing. Very similar, actually, quite almost sort of matches up in terms of the songs, almost like sister sort of songs, if you like, you know. But again, just a great song and a lovely song on the end of the album there. Love it. Absolutely love it. Love the feel on it. Love the groove. Love the space. Love the whole sentiment of the song. So yeah. So now then, now the big five. What have you got at number five?
Well, you were talking about space in a song, and I've chosen one of the longer songs. Now, you'll probably know it as Knowledge of Beauty.
Yeah.
Although on my copy of the director's cut
Yes.
of Don't Stand Me Down, it's called My National Pride.
Yes.
And what I like about that is more of an expansive sort of song. I think it's 7 minutes long, which is unusual for for Dexys to sort of have. It's probably more of a anthemic song than they're used to putting out. It sort of the fact that it's been renamed, I think, is sort of symptomatic of Kevin Rowland's sort of. There seems to be a sort of theme there that there's a search for something better all the time. That he's wanting to improve on things that he's already done. On certainly on the sleeve notes of this album, he was complaining about the remix or the remastering of the previous re-release and what have you. So he seems, I think it's a little bit of an insight into his sort of soul in terms of what he wants to do, in terms of continually revisiting songs and giving them a different feel, different name, and so on. It's got hints of Satellite of Love. There's when you listen to it, you can sort of pick out a bit of Satellite of Love. You pick out sort of Neil Young or the band type guitars in the background. Because of its length, there is space. There's more room to explore in that song, and there's some nice, very understated sort of country or country rock style drumming on that record as well, which adds to the general sort of feel. It's a more expansive, I say, anthemic song. And
I think it's Al Green's drummer, isn't it? On most of the album, it's Al Green's drummer, and I think the last part from the Waltz where they actually used Woody Woodmansey out of the Spiders from Mars, but it's Al Green's drummer.
That I didn't know. That I didn't know at all.
So yeah, the famous story of they said, "Oh, we love the feel of." They kept auditioning drummers saying, "Oh, can you sound like Al Green's drummer?" And then they said, "Why don't we just go and get Al Green's drummer?" Which they did. So there you have it.
Just as a slight aside, I think one of the bands that Johnny Marr was in, I think they advertised for a Johnny Marr type guitarist, and then like with Johnny Marr himself. So it sounds similar to that one.
Yeah, it's great. I love stuff like that. Yeah, nice choice.
Was it the Cribs or Modest Mouse? One of those bands.
One of those bands, yeah. Both decent bands, actually. Right, good choice. Love that. My number five is off the first album as well. I couldn't help it if I tried. Again, about the breakdown of a relationship. I just love the horns on it. I love the counter melodies with the horns. It's really big. It's really powerful. There's almost like a battle going on between Kevin Rowland's voice against the horns, and the horns are battling against each other. It's just fab, and it sort of sums up that breakdown of the relationship as well. And he's really the emotion he puts into it. I think it's immense. I really do. Just a sublime track. So I thought there's not much more to. Often a lot of these, it's just very simple in terms of the themes and the sort of the lyrics, but they work so well. And then others, these lyrics are so complex. Wow, that's really out there. Very clever though. This one's one of the more simple, straightforward ones, so I couldn't help it if I tried. I just love it. Love the whole feel. And again, Dexys are very much a feel sort of band. So that's my number five. What have you got at number four, Colin?
The number four, I've got, well, again, another song with two titles. The single was Dance Dance, but Burn It Down. I'm putting Burn It Down rather than Dance Dance. I think the production on the album version lifts it a little bit, gives it a fuller sound. You know, pushes the brass up in the mix and that sort of thing. It's again sort of similar to a similar vibe, a similar feel to a lot of songs we've discussed from Searching for the Young Soul Rebels, and that was it. And I think he celebrates, I think that's sort of the beginning of him celebrating his Irishness, Kevin Rowland, which is a recurring theme running across all of these songs and albums and what have you. But it's very obviously a sort of what am I looking for? A sort of nod to his Irishness,
cultural heritage, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, and
you have all the Irish writers mentioned there as well. Very clever.
Yeah, and it could be a list song like "We Didn't Start the Fire" or "It's the End of the World as We Know It," but it doesn't turn into that. There's more to it than that. So it's got this sort of list element where he mentions Brendan Behan and Edna O'Brien and these writers and what have you. But it doesn't just turn into a list song. There's far more to it, and it's far more exciting. And I say one of the things, it appears at the beginning of the album, and it's sort of a statement of intent there.
Yeah, it's like a manifesto, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you have the little intro, and you've got like Smoke on the Water, and you've got like Pistols, and then you've got, in fact, you've even got Rat Race, which is right of its time. And then all of a sudden, for God's sake, Burn It Down. It's like, get rid of all of that. You know, this is us. This is the new sort of sound, which I think is just big two fingers up to everything. And it's brilliant. I love stuff like that. That's more punk rock than punk rock. Fabulous. Absolutely love that. It's great. And the whole song's great. The whole idea of, it's almost like, if you don't know these writers, don't bother coming talking to me. You know, your idea's almost worthless. So I think it's great. Love that. My number 4 is Old from Touraye. Again, another ballad here, but again, the song, the vocals are amazing. About getting old, and possibly, and this is not clear, which I like. Again, it's not clear. You don't really want songs that are so obvious and clear, because allow you to have your own interpretation, and, you know, the idea of possibly challenging the ways of others. I'm not really sure, you know, but the beauty of the song and the beauty of the vocal delivery is magnificent. This could have possibly been number 2 for me, actually. So these could move around on a daily basis. And Old, when I think about it, of all the Dexys songs I play, this is possibly my most played track. This is my number 2, funnily enough, of my most played tracks by Dexys. Even though
it is a wonderful song. It is a wonderful song. Well, it's either in my honourable mentions. It's either in my honourable mentions or will be coming up later. But,
yeah, well, there you go. That's my number 4. It's just Old. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. A standout piece. What have you got at number 3 then, Colin?
Number 3, I've got Tell Me When My Light Turns Green, a sort of pleading, a real sort of pleading, emotional song. It's got sort of soul sensibilities and what have you, and it's the pleading that I like in it, but also the tune is just fantastic. And again, very much of a sort of vibe with sort of songs from Searching for the Young Soul Rebels. So I've put that one in there.
Yeah, great. Another great song. And my number 3 is Plan B, which I just love. Powerful song about love and friendship, standing together with your friends. I love the line, the Bill Withers line that goes, pretend I'm Bill and lean on me. I think that's great. love that. I love it because you can relate to it, you know, when you love your friend that much, or friends. The horns are great. They sound triumphant. I just think the sheer power of Plan B. You know, it's one of the best intros I've ever heard. You've always been searching for something. And it's just really, really powerful. Absolutely love it. It would have suffered if they had like guitars and things on it. I think the horns just drive it along almost with sheer power. Absolutely an amazing song. So my number 3 there's Plan B. What have you got at number 2, Con?
Number 2. Now, this is the thing about cover versions. I couldn't put a cover version in at number 1. So I put one in at number 2, and I've put Grazing in the Grass from
Oh,
the Let the Record Show
yes.
album.
Well, there you go. Go on. Yeah.
Now that's originally a I think a Hugh Masekela instrumental that was covered by the Friends of Distinction. The reason why I put this so high, excuse me, the reason why I put it so high was because I think it really does build on that previous version. So what it does is it creates an image of a sort of summer's day and what have you. So it slows down. The previous cover version was a slightly more frenetic sort of Philadelphia soul type song, and this time it's slowed down. And I think I might be wrong, just looking through my list. No, it's the second one in it that has female vocals as well. So I think it enhances it to be sung as a sort of male-female duet. It eludes sort of images of a summer's day, and it's slowed down to just the right pace for the song. I think they're the first band to get it right in terms of the pace of that song, and it sounds wonderful. Now, I know this isn't a chat about videos and things, but I do recommend people go and see the video to this song, because it sort of celebrates everything that's in the song. It's also a celebration of middle-aged people. There are plenty of middle-aged people dancing in the video, and you know, so it's good to feel that music's not just there for young people. It's there for us sort of oldies as well and what have you. So I think Grazing in the Grass, it's less frenzied. It is a summer's day. You know, if you were to think of a Spotify summer's day playlist, I can't see how this shouldn't make the shortlist and what have you.
That's a great choice. That like that's I'm surprised. I'm delighted. Actually, that's a really good choice. Yeah, that's really really good. I'm pleased you put that in. Actually, that's really different. Yeah, very very good. It's an interesting album that, and we'll come to that when we do the album show as well, because it's such an unusual album to have released. So my number 2 is a really personal song, and I've gone with Manhood, the original version. It's and the reason why it's personal is when my eldest daughter, was about to about 18 months. It would be one of them songs would be playing in the bedroom, we'd dance around the bedroom together. So it's got a real sort of feeling for me, you know, it really means something. So every time I hear it, I was thinking of my eldest, just me and her dancing around the room. She go, "Oh, put the song on, Dad," and you sort of dance around the room to it. But I think it's obviously because it's such a great Motown type feel to it that, you know, when you're a little kid, the lyrics don't mean anything, but it's beautiful. About breaking free from the constraints of a macho world, I've written, and embracing spirituality. And he's redone it again on the new album, and actually it's a really good version on the new album as well. I prefer the original, but it's literally just. And I love the reinterpretation of the way that he's done it, and it fits in perfectly with this album. But it's just such a personal song to me. I love it. So yeah, it's Manhood, my number 2. Just one of the great songs. So what have you got in at number 1, Colin?
Well, number 1, I think, what is the archetypal Dexys song? What would it have to contain? And I figure there are. Look, this is my favorite Dexys song anyway. So I don't think I have to justify it by sort of saying what ingredients must it have. I just think it is the best Dexys song. But it would be strong on a sort of horn section. There would be plenty of brass. There would be strings on it as well. So you need to have brass and string. And another element that would make the other third element to make an archetypal Dexys song is Kevin Rowland talking to himself and or the band, right? And it's got to have those, have those 3 ingredients. But this is just life affirming as a song. It's danceable. It has absolutely everything. Rises to a crescendo in in the middle before wonderful bit of string work. It's the song that Come On Eileen could have been, in my opinion. So it's not Come On Eileen, it's Let's Make This Precious from 2RIA.
Right.
that's my number one.
It's a great song. It is a great song. It's on my honourable list. It's one of them I'm thinking, oh, why didn't I put it in? But all of those songs, I thought you were going to say This Is What She's Like. And that's my number one. So, because in terms of the strings, the horn section at the end, I absolutely love it. It's 11. I think it's one of those songs that can be a bit Marmite for some. Helen O'Hara describes it as the best Dexys song because it was about her, I suppose. But there you have it. It's a mini opera. In terms of the length of it, it's because it's really long, 11, 12 minutes. I love the fact that he talks at the beginning. And then I remember seeing him at Whitley Bay Playhouse once. And they were doing the One Day I'm Gonna Soul album. And this was one of the encore songs. And it's possibly the best song I've ever seen live in terms of the reception in the crowd. The bit when the string section came in and all the 1, 2, 3, 4, da, 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 and the crowd went absolutely bananas. They went mental, and it's one of those songs. I think there's everything about it. It's he's saying what she like. He's stating things that he hates because he can't describe what she's like. He's so thunderstruck by, it's like he's been hit by a lightning bolt. He can't describe what she's like. But I tell you what, she's not like. She's not like this, and she's not like that. And I hate all these things, but she's none of them because she's so amazing. And I think that's for me what grabs me. The lyrics are great. It's very clever. It's a love song without directly saying I absolutely adore you. It's very, very clever.
It is good. You're right about it being a sort of operatic type song with everything in it, with peaks and troughs and what have you. It's one of those wonderful, expansive songs, and it's on my honourable mentions.
So that's my number one. It's my favourite Dexys song. It's not one of them ones you play over and over because it's so long. And all the talking at the beginning is mad but great, and it's essential. But yeah, and I'd hate there was an edited version. It just don't work as an edit. You've got to have the whole thing. So what have we got as honourable mentions then, Colin? What have you got?
Well, I think got This Is What She's Like. I've got Show Me. Old was one of yours. Listen to This. One of the things I've put on again as a sort of another statement of intent is Celtic Soul Brothers.
Yeah,
because that's a song that begins an album and says, "This is what we're about now." Okay, with the previous album, burn it down, throw everything else out, and this is what we're about. And the next album comes along and says, well, we're about something else now. And so I like it because it's sort of statement of intent. I like Free, I like Show Me, and I've also there's been an elephant in the room in this discussion, hasn't there?
Yes, come on, Eileen. Yeah,
I can't not mention. Come on, Eileen. It wouldn't make my top. I don't know because it's so
ubiquitous to every party, isn't it? What we were seeing before there, it is fantastic song. I've danced to it a million times, but it's one of them, isn't it?
So it's just because of its sort of presence, everywhere that I figure if I was to only live with 10 more Dexys songs, that's one. Because it's been the soundtrack to my life, because I know it inside out. I've sort of taken it out of the top 10. I'm not doing this in my own room, by the way. I'm doing this in my daughter's bedroom. I've noticed she's left a copy of Queen's Greatest Hits on the turntable, and it's a little bit like that. I've forgotten whether those songs. I can't work out whether I like those songs or not anymore because they've been so overplayed. Queen's Greatest Hits, and I do like Come On Eileen. It is a brilliant song. I won't say I can't decide whether I like it or not because it is brilliant, but because of its because it's everywhere, that's the only reason it's not made top 10, I think.
I'm sure they'll probably say the same, to be honest. And I've got the same things as you, with because of you, I've got written down here. I've got Dance With Me off the new album, which is like a Marvin Gaye type song. It's got a great groove. Love it. She's Got a Wiggle, which you mentioned before there. And I've got Barry White groove written on here. And I love the interplay with the girl singing on the album. And it works brilliant. I'd love to hear a whole album like that, actually. Gail, I've got Dance Dance here. Come on, Eileen. I'm just looking, breaking down the walls of heartache. I've got Celtic Soul Brothers. So very similar sort of sections there. I mean, I could have picked loads. Could have picked loads more. Um, just a great band with a great variation of songs. So we'll be doing an album section soon, folks. So please send your list in, your top 10 lists. I look forward to seeing them. It'd be interesting to see what we've got. So until the next time, from Colin and myself, take care. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.